Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss in depth and in detail about the documentation requirement for rural renewal stream. I had prepared a similar video about Alberta opportunity stream, and there was a request of preparing something similar for the rural renewal stream. So this is that particular video. Before I start, this is some of the changes to my interaction with the subscribers. So as I've explained earlier, I am only replying to subscribers' comments on priority. And if after that, if I have time, I try and reply to all the comments. So if you have any questions and you're posting your comments and not getting a reply, please make sure you are a subscriber. And I have created a new WhatsApp group. I will share the link of that WhatsApp group in the next slide. And right now I'm limiting my interactions for my members only. So this is the QR code for joining my channel. So if you join my channel and support me, I am including one-on-one interaction as a membership perk. Okay. Next, these are the QR codes of my WhatsApp groups. I had one group which was really successful and it's almost always full. And there was a request to create one more group. So this is that second group. Please join one group. I have seen few people joining both the groups. Please don't do that. Then I'll not be able to manage any more groups than these two groups. So if both of these groups become full, I think many of the people who want to join and take advantage of the discussions will lose out. So be considerate and join only one group. Okay. So now coming to the topic for today's video is the rural renewal scheme documentation requirement. Okay. So let's go through it. As always, I will always refer to the official website for this information, and I will always recommend you guys also to do that. Please always look into the official websites only for the latest information. So where do you search it? So if you come to the rural renewal streams landing page, after that you will see there is a section for eligibility criteria and then how to apply. So eligibility criteria is for you if you want to check your eligibility. But beyond that, once you are sure you're eligible, click on how to apply. Okay. And once you do how to apply, there are documentation requirements here, but if you click on the resources link, it will directly take you to the rural renewal document checklist. This is the PDF document which you can open. So if you click on it, it opens up a document checklist, which is a comprehensive guidance for you. This is only a 5-page document, but what we will do is we will go through it. We will go through it line by line so that you can understand all your requirements. Okay, so let's go through the first section, which is a list of all the mandatory forms and documents required by all the candidates. So once you have made sure that you are eligible for the rural renewal scheme, you need to get your documents in order. And these are the documents which are required by all the candidates. So if you want to apply for rural renewal scheme, make sure you check these items out, check off these items. So understand it as a checklist, take a printout and just check it off every time you meet a documentation. Valid passports. This is required for candidate only, and this only needs a personal page and an expiry and renewal dates of the passport. So no need to scan all the pages of your passport, visa stamps, anything. You just need to upload the first page and the last page. Like for example, in Indian passports, we say first page and the last page, where you have the personal information, your picture, name, address, and then the validity and expiry. So as long as these information are included, just include those pages in your scan of passport. Work permit. If you are already working in Canada, you need to upload your work permit. Very easy. If you are not working in Canada, you still got a job offer from a rural community, then you don't need to upload work permit. But if you are working in Canada, you need to upload the work permit, and all the Canadian work permits, so current and past Canadian work permits. This they do basically to ensure that you meet your experience requirements and things like that. So whatever experience you claim under your Canada experience, make sure it's supported by a work permit. This is also required for the candidate, not required for your spouse or your child if you are applying together. Language assessment. Language assessment test is required. You upload only for yourself, not for your family members, even though you might, if you are applying for say Ircc Express Entry also, you might have taken a test for your spouse, but you don't need to apply here. This is a non-express entry based program stream. So you only need to upload your language assessment test, which should be less than 2 years old, and it could be either IELTS or Fswp for English. Okay, so there are a list of requirements for language assessment. I think let's quickly show you that. Eligibility, if you go into eligibility criteria and language, it's somewhere here. There is a table out here which shows, yeah. So this is your language assessment CLB score. That's a minimum CLB score is needed. So make sure, pause the video, take a screenshot. This is the CLB score you need to meet. Okay, depending on your NOC. So make sure your language assessment meets all those criterias. Okay, language assessment is done. Now we are on to page 2. Labor market impact assessment, LMIA. If your job needs an LMIA, upload the copy of LMIA. If your job doesn't need a LMIA, then there is something called a LMIA exemption, which is available with the work permit. Make sure you upload that. So either LMIA or the evidence of exemption of LMIA. Again, this is required only for the candidate. Education. ECA, Educational Credential Assessment. If you have done a Canadian degree, upload all your secondary, post-secondary diploma certificates. Okay. If you have a foreign degree, you still upload all your diploma certificates, all your mark sheets, everything along with a ECA. So if you have done your education outside India, outside Canada, you will have to upload a ECA. So do you need to provide an ECA? Yes, it has to be provided, and it has to be provided by one of the recognized institutions. So there is a link of designated institutions on the IRCC website. Go through that. You don't need it if you have a Canadian degree. If you have a Canadian degree, then for that degree you don't need to provide an ECA. If your Canadian degree is the highest degree that you have obtained, you don't need to submit an ECA. Okay, this is again required only for the candidate, not for the full family, even though if you have it. Okay, do not include education documents for family members, which is again very clear, right? Okay, endorsement letter of candidates. Endorsement of candidate letter is important, is one of the typical requirements in rural renewal scheme. So make sure that you are including the endorsement letter, and it should satisfy these two bullet points. It must outline how you meet the AIP community criteria and the economic needs of the community, how it will satisfy the economic needs of the community. So make sure that the endorsement letter that you are getting from your economic development office satisfies these two conditions. This is very important. Okay, settlement of funds. As I was explaining a bit earlier, rural renewal immigration scheme is a scheme which is non-express entry. So it has its own settlement of fund requirement. If I go through the eligibility criteria, you will see it here. So in this table, it has the settlement of funds requirements. This I have covered in great detail in one of my earlier videos. So again, take a pause, take a screenshot of this particular section, and then here you will see that this has a settlement of funds requirements depending on the family size and the size of the community. So make sure that you have the funds required, and then it has some details on what can be included in the funds and what do you need to prove that you have access to that fund. Okay, so settlement of funds is required. This is only for candidate. And then here there are some points about spouse. You can include money in your spouse account. So if you have a joint account, things like that. So have a look at that. Alberta job offer and employment contracts. Yes. So you need a job offer from a Alberta based employer to work in that community. So make sure that you have a job offer, and in addition to your endorsement letter. So endorsement letter is issued by the PDO, and then the job offer is issued by your employer from that particular community. So make sure that you have your employment Alberta job offer, and then the job offer should contain these points. These are very basic information, like it should be on the letterhead of the employer. It should show your salary or wage that the employer is going to pay, duration of employments, working conditions, like how many hours or weeks you will work, like 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week, your job's duties and responsibilities. It should be signed by you and your Alberta employer, and has a contact in case the immigration officer has any questions. It can reach out to the employer. So make sure that this job offer is also included in your application package. Okay, we are now in page number 3, almost done with page number 3. Employment reference letter. Upload the reference letter for your work experience. Okay, so you need a minimum work experience to qualify for rural renewal scheme. So all those work experience months or years has to be supported by a reference letter. So whatever work you have done full time, include your reference letter for that particular occupation, for that particular job. So you need a minimum. So if you go into the rural renewal stream eligibility page, here there is a work experience requirement. So this is the section which deals with work experience requirement, which needs a minimum of 12 months of work experience within the last 12 years. So this again I have covered in some of the videos, so you can have a look at that. And then it depends on what can be considered as a valid work experience. So whatever work experience you are adding, make sure it's supported by a reference letter from the employer. Again, the reference letter that you upload by the employer, it doesn't need to be of a particular format, but your reference letter must at least address these points. Okay, and it must be signed by somebody authorized as a manager or a supervisor or a HR consultant. Okay, so this is required for your past experience and also for your current experience. So if you are currently working in Alberta, you must provide both a reference letter and a job offer letter, which is explanatory. Say for example, you're working for a current employer for last couple of years, so you need to prove that by way of a reference letter from the current employer. In addition to that, he will also give you a job offer letter, which will be for a period for a future period after your PR or PNP application is processed. Okay, so this is also very important. So make sure that you are kind of including this document. Next is AI document required. So this is the end of the section of documents required by all the candidates. So I hope I went pretty slow and in explaining the documentation requirements. These are not very complicated documentation requirements. If you have any questions to these things, please subscribe to the channel and then post a question so that I will be able to filter out and get back to your questions. Documents required by candidates working in trade and regulated occupation only. If you are working in a regulated trade or an occupation, you need a trade certificate. So it's only limited to those people, right? So if you have any kind of trade certificate or any kind of licensing, if your job needs that, make sure that you upload the copy of all the licenses. It's for a small subset of people. It might not be required by all the candidates, and hence it says only for people working in trade and regulated occupation. Okay, so I hope that is also clear. The next section is only for people who are including their dependents in the application. So if you are applying with a dependent, make sure that you download this particular form and upload a copy of this form. So get it signed by your spouse or your family members who are over 18 years of age, and then apply. User representative form is only for if you are using a representative, then you are supposed to download this form and submit a form as your declaration that you are using a representative. Okay, so in most of the cases, we will, if you are applying with a spouse, you'd be using the first document. Okay, and then there are some guidelines and questions. If you have any questions, you can send out a mail to this email ID, and that is it. So that's the end of the 5 pages of this particular document. I hope I was able to answer your questions. If you still have more questions, always please subscribe to the channel and then post your questions so that I'll be able to get back to your question. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one, and till then, all the best. Thank you.